to be free from the republic.
This is Cameroon, and right now, its people are hungry, really angry.
It's been too long. We want restoration. Complete restoration of Southern Cameroon or West Cameroon.
They are in the street, protesting, risking their lives just to be heard. All because of one man, Paul Biya, the president who ruled this country for 42 years. That's longer than most Cameroonians have been alive. And now, at 92 years old, he wants to run again. But here's the thing. This protest isn't just about how long he has ruled. It's also about what happened during those 42 years. Because the story of Biya's rule isn't just long. It's brutal. Torture, corruption, disappearances, fear, and how international powers, especially France, have quietly kept him in place, pulling the strings like a puppet master. For decades, Biya kept French interests secure. Oil contracts, military bases, economic deals, and in return, French kept quiet no matter how bad things got. You see, in early 2023, a radio host known for exposing corruption, Matinza Zogo, was investigating something big. He had uncovered a massive financial scandal. Millions of dollars stolen from public funds transferred from the Ministry of Finance account to a private company tied to a powerful media tycoon, Jean-Pierre Amogombilinga, a man with deep ties to the presidency. Zonga wasn't quiet about it. On his radio show, he named names every week. He said the money tray didn't end at businessmen. It led straight to President Paul Biya. Then on January 17, 2023, Zogo was abducted on his way home. 5 days later, his body was found, tortured, mutilated, and dumped on the outskirts of the town. The suspicion was that his last investigation of corruption that linked directly to its president led to his death. And now, in January 2025, Paul Biya announced he would run again for the October 5th election. But this time, Cameroonians are done waiting. The influence of France, the former colonizer that didn't really leave, through quiet deals, debt, diplomacy, and economic control. And now, that system is finally being called out. But to understand why Cameroon is falling apart and why protests are exploding now, you have to understand the man who's ruled it for 42 years. I mean, how did it stay this long? And before we go deeper into Paul Biya, I'm working hard to grow this channel and I could really use your help. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share this video with a friend and let's build this community together. Okay, thanks. And let's get back to it. Paul Biya became president of Cameroon in 1982. He was never a revolutionary. He didn't fight for independence. He didn't win over the people. He was picked, handed power, groomed by French-backed leadership after independence. He was quiet, careful, and loyal. That's what made him perfect. In 1975, under Cameroon's first president, Modu Ahidjo, Biya was made prime minister. When Ahidjo mysteriously stepped down in 1982, Biya took over. And from that day, he never left. He consolidated power fast, purged opponents, rewrote the rules. In 1992, when Cameroon finally allowed multi-party elections, Biya almost lost. So here is what he does next to make sure that wouldn't happen again. Every election after that, rigged, voter intimidation, protesters jailed and arrested of opposing leadership. And in 2008 and 2011, he changed the constitution to remove limits altogether, clearing the way to become president for life. And while Cameroonians stayed poor, schools failed and hospitals ran out of supplies, Biya stayed rich. Biya kept traveling. He rarely appeared in public. Between 2006 and 2017, he spent nearly 1,500 days abroad, most of it at luxurious hotels across Switzerland and France. In 1 year alone, he spent over $1 million on hotel bills and private jets paid by Cameroonian taxpayers. Biya was basically running Cameroon from hotel lobbies like a company, and the people were never on the board. It became more than a president. It became a system with a web of loyal ministers, secret police, businessmen, judges, all loyal to him. And anyone who tried to break the grip disappeared. But now the country is shifting, and for the first time in a generation, people are starting to ask out loud, who gave him the right to stay this long? Here is something most people outside Cameroon might not know. It's called the Anglophone crisis. You see, Cameroon has two official languages, French and English. But that's just on paper. In reality, the French-speaking majority controls almost everything: the court, the government, and the education system. And for decades, English-speaking Cameroonians, mostly in the northwest and the southwest, have been treated like second-class citizens. In 2016, lawyers and teachers in those regions started protesting peacefully. They weren't asking for independence. They were asking for fairness, to use English in court, to teach their children in their own language. But the government responded with military force. And when people pushed back, Biya's regime labeled them as terrorists. Soldiers burned villages. Families, they fled into the forest. As of today, over 6,000 people have died and nearly 1 million have been displaced. Entire communities destroyed just for asking to be treated equally. What started as a peaceful protest has now become a war. A war many believe could have been avoided if Biya had simply listened. That's the legacy his rule left behind. Ignore the voices, then crush them. Under Paul Biya, corruption became normal. Billions meant for roads, schools, hospitals, electricity vanished. Instead, you find it in Swiss bank account, Paris real estate, and luxury hotels. In 2018, Biya's defense minister was caught stealing nearly $400 million in military contracts. In 2020, a health ministry audit found COVID funds were disappearing before vaccine even arrived. Meanwhile, unemployment, especially among the youth, kept rising. University graduates with no jobs. Teachers are unpaid. Doctors are forced to work with broken equipment. Roads across rural Cameroon remain unpaved. Hospitals, they run without running water. And what did the government say? It's under control. But only one thing they ever really controlled was the money. And in a country this rich in oil, gas, and minerals, that's not a mistake. It's theft. Because you see, Cameroon isn't poor. It's one of the most resource-rich countries in Central Africa. Oil, timber, aluminium, coca, fertile farmland, gold, natural gas. It's all there. Cameroon should be building highways, world-class universities, hospitals that actually work. But instead, people are drinking from dirty wells and walking miles to school on broken roads. Why? Because for decades, the man on the top hasn't cared. And with a leader who lives in 5-star hotels while his people starve, what exactly did you expect? At 92 years old, Paul Biya's health is clearly failing, right? For years, he's disappeared for months at a time. No press conference, no national addresses, no cabinet meetings. Reports suggest he's been in and out of private hospitals in Switzerland since the early 2000s. The Swiss newspaper Tribune once reported that Biya had spent over 4 years abroad during his presidency, most of it for medical reasons. He is rumored to suffer from dementia, heart complications, and other age-related conditions. And the few times he showed up, he often seems disoriented, slurred, barely responsible. In December 2022, at the United States African Leaders Summit, cameras caught Biya staring blankly into the crowd, struggling to follow basic protocol. It was painful to watch, but instead of stepping aside, right, Biya is running again. And now his supporters are even floating the idea of his son, Frank Biya, taking over, turning a failed presidency into a family business. Camerooners call it a national embarrassment. Some call it the theft of democracy. Because how can a country move forward when its president doesn't even know what day it is? So, why hasn't Biya stepped down? Why does a visibly sick man, barely present in his own country, still hold on to power? One word, I'll give it to you: France. If Biya is the face of the problem, then France is the hand behind the curtain. Cameroon may have gained independence in 1960, but France never really left. For over 60 years, France has quietly shaped Cameroon's economy, politics, and military long after independence. French companies hold major stakes in Cameroon's oil, gas, telecom, and banking sectors. The CFA franc, Cameroon's currency, is still tied to France's central bank. French troops have even trained Cameroonian force under military agreement. This isn't a partnership, it's control. And for decades, it's worked. Most critics have called Biya France's most obedient client in Central Africa. In return for protecting French business interests, France gave him something even more valuable: silence. Biya didn't just survive by force, he survived with help. Whenever elections were rigged, France said nothing. When Anglophone protests were gunned down in the streets, France called for dialogue. When Biyas people stole millions from public funds, France made no statement at all. Why? Because Cameroon is valuable. Biya kept their money flowing, and France helped keep his power intact. He gets protection, and Cameroonian people, they get left behind. Camerooners are not just protesting Biya, they are protesting the system that kept him in place, a system designed in Paris. But it's not just France. The United States has also played a quiet role in keeping Paul Biya in power. For decades, the US has called Cameroon a key partner in fighting against terrorism, especially against Boko Haram in the north. The US deployed over 3,000 military personnel to North Cameroon to support intelligence, civilians, and training. Biya used that partnership to his own advantage. He cracked down on his haters, jailed journalists, rigged elections, and told his Western allies, "At least, I'm keeping the region stable." And in Washington, that was enough. Yes, the US has occasionally condemned human rights abuse in Cameroon, but it has never come with consequences. Now, Cameroon stands at a crossroad. After 42 years, will Paul Biya clinch to power one more time? Or will Camerooners finally take back the pen and rewrite a different ending? Whatever happens, this country is done being silent. And for the first time in a generation, real change finally feels possible. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let's keep pushing for a better Africa. And do not forget to subscribe and share this video with a friend. I've also got a video on the South African genocide claim and another on Burkina Faso's bold revolution. which is honestly the complete opposite of what's happening in Cameroon right now. So yes, go check them out and I'll see you there. Have a wonderful